Well, our own Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has been speaking in the last few minutes. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
The UAE, Bahrain and Qatar over the last few days. What did you hope to achieve, and did you?
Well, the overarching impression here is the importance, as they see it, as us standing with them as an ally, as a friend of theirs, at a point of need. And there's been reflection on the work that we've done with them over the last 6 to 7 weeks on collective self-defence. Here in Qatar, we've got a joint squadron. So a real sense of here we are as an ally, standing with our allies when it matters most to them. Obviously, the discussion moved very quickly to the ceasefire, a sense that it's fragile, that more work is needed, that the Strait of Hormuz has to be part of the solution, a very strong sense that there can't be tolling or restrictions on that navigation. And so we come away from here with a real desire on their part to work more closely with us on defence resilience, on economic resilience. That's really important to us because this is impacting us back at home, on our economy, so it's very important that we do that together. It's a big opportunity as well for the United Kingdom. So it has been important that we've been here, and there's a sense here, as there is, I think, in the United Kingdom, that this conflict is going to define us for a generation, and we must respond, and we will respond with strength.
Yesterday you told ITV that you're fed up with families and businesses' energy bills going up because of the actions of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Did you take this up with the American president yesterday when you spoke to him, or have you in previous calls?
Well, I had a discussion with President Trump last night and set out to him the views of the region here. These Gulf states are the neighbours of Iran, and therefore, if the ceasefire is to hold, and we hope it will, it has to involve them. They have very strong views on the Strait of Hormuz. And we spent most of the time on the call talking about the practical plan that's going to be needed to get navigation through the Strait, and the role that the UK is playing. For a couple of weeks now, we've been pulling together a coalition of countries, now over 30 countries, working on a political and diplomatic plan, but also looking at military capabilities and actually the logistics of actually moving vessels through the Strait. So that was the focus of the discussion last night, reflection on what I've been discussing here, but also that focus on a practical plan in relation to navigation through the Strait.
I mean, you say you did bring up this issue of military capabilities. So did you raise with him his threats to pull out of NATO?
Well, we're very strong supporters of NATO, and I've been making the argument for some considerable time that we need to do more. It's the single most effective military alliance the world has ever known. Do we Europeans need to do more? Yes, I've been making that argument for the best part of 2 years to our European partners as much as anybody else. We continue to make that case, and we will make that case.
That is in America's interest as well, though.
It is in America's interest, it's in European interest. You know, NATO is a defensive alliance which for decades has kept us much safer than we would otherwise have been. So we're strong supporters of NATO, we'll always be stronger supporters of NATO. Do I think there should be a stronger European element to NATO? Yes, and I think we should step into that space. We're already doing it, which is why we're coordinating strategically with our partners in NATO.
Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Quite interesting when you read between the lines of what Keir Starmer is saying there. Closer to the EU on the army, closer to the EU economically. Not that he said that there, but that's obviously where the direction of travel is. But he also had a bit of, again, this all bark, no bite. We need to respond with strength. Well, we've got those Russian shadow fleets coming through the channel. We again, all bark, no bites there. Then he's talking about this ceasefire. There needs to be a practical plan. Well, ask yourself, why is there no practical plan for this? I think there's a very interesting question people need to ask themselves. Why is a country like America not making plans to make this ceasefire last?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that Trump compared Keir Starmer to Neville Chamberlain last week at the Great Appeaser, as he is known. But, of course, they're complete opposites, because Neville Chamberlain did appease Hitler in 1938, signed the Munich Agreement, but at the same time was rearming Britain massively throughout the late 1930s, buying time to eventually go to war. Whereas Starmer's doing the opposite. He's talking the tough talk, saying that we can't let Putin get away with it, you know, all these other statements, and yet in the background nothing actually is happening to prepare us for conflict. So I don't think that's the correct comparison. Interestingly, Marco Rubio, who has generally been pro-NATO, has actually questioned the NATO alliance, saying what's the point of having these bases across Europe and the Western world if they're not allowed to use them when they want to defend themselves?
I think you're going to see a lot more conversations about America's role on the global stage over the next few years. But up next, more reaction to those comments from the Prime Minister.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Talking about Britain on the world stage, again, this call with Donald Trump. We didn't give much details about how that went, which I'm sure didn't go very well, although he was talking about how Britain's going to respond with strength. It's like, I mean, you couldn't pick a man with less of a spine on so many issues to talk about strength. We just had the embarrassment of the Defence Secretary saying we're watching you, Russia, while they're taking their shadow fleets through the channel, because apparently guidance from the Attorney General might indicate that we can't actually board these vessels. Then we're worried about maritime law. I mean, we're about as useful as a chocolate teapot on the world stage.
Yeah. I mean, Alex, you know, I said this to you already, that now I hear Keir Starmer speaking, and I can hear you doing an impression of him rather than just Keir Starmer.
I'm sorry for that.
But,
fake news.
Very good impression. Very good. Very good. I mean, it really, it's so deeply embarrassing. And to be saying, you know, Putin, we see you. It's like, yeah, but what are you going to do about it? They were obviously testing what they can get away with. Even the suggestion that actually, you know, the claims from John Healey that we do have a Royal Navy, by the way, we do have a military. They're just doing something elsewhere. The point is actually that you need to be able to respond in multiple theatres of war. That's the world that we're now living in. And I've just come back from Malta, where they have this great history of you know, defending Europe you know, the Royal Navy there defending Europe during the Second World War. And you see in these museums the list of ships that were engaged in battles and how phenomenal our Royal Navy used to be. And this is just simply embarrassing for him to be saying things like, you know, coming out with this just terrible statesmanship of saying that he's a bit fed up. That the history as it's unfolding in the present just happens to be having an effect on Britain at home. But it's just the way that he said it here. He says, we are constantly pushed off course by events beyond our borders. Yes, that's what happens. That's life. life. That's
Well, we
that's
used to
history.
be so good at it. Malta that you're talking about there, we gave them the St George's Cross, and they actually had a referendum. They wanted to be part of Britain. I doubt they'd do that again, would they?
But it isn't what has always happened.
Probably for the best, isn't it? I mean, they were Malta.
For them now, yeah.
Malta had a referendum, and Britain actually said no.
Yes,
they didn't want to. They didn't want to join it. But then Malta has had a very, very successful time.
We would have given it away by now. We would have paid for.
Well, I think it's not for us to give away. The Maltese people wanted independence actually after that, and then they even then became a republic.
Well, this has gone somewhat. This is slightly
let's go back to Keir Starmer, shall we?
The point is that it's embarrassing for us. It's embarrassing that we've had this great naval history, and now look at the state of things.
I think that the period of time that you're talking about, Britain had an empire. Britain no longer has an empire. I've debated that in the most viral clip I've ever been on with Carol Malone. Let's not revisit that particular event again.
Yeah, you don't want to revisit it?
No, I don't think I really need to revisit that. The fact that I think colonialism was a bad thing and the British Empire was a bad thing. And that doesn't mean we can't have a navy, but it means that we are not in 1920 anymore.
But we don't even have a navy, Jonathan.
Well, we do have a navy, Alex. We do have a navy. Alex, great Patriot talking Britain down all the time.
I'm just being it's not talking Britain down, but we need to have a reality check, Jonathan. The HMS Dragon's been sent back into port.
It had technical... Yes, ships need refurbishment, ships get technical difficulties.
Well, exactly.
And also, when you do it, I have to push back on this.
We couldn't even defend Cyprus, Jonathan. We've got to defend our own bases. The Defence Secretary was hiding in bunkers, apparently.
I have to push back on one thing that you said, okay? About Starmer. Yeah, I mean, there are so many to choose on. Let me choose just one. About Starmer not having a backbone. Starmer being spineless. Okay, so the problem is that
he did actually...
Well, Starmer did actually have... Don't blame me, of course. Starmer did actually show a spine, and you hated it, because he made a decision that was in line with the British people, and you hated that. Which is about not joining in with an illegal war. If Starmer had taken your advice, we would currently be embroiled in a massive illegal war, which gets more and more unpopular by the day, and I'm so glad we did it.
We'll see how popular that war is when Donald Trump slams destroys our economy in the energy shock.
Yeah, it's not going to be popular. Like I just said, that's my point. You were the one who was supporting it from the hilt.
Yeah, but at least we wouldn't be slammed by Donald Trump afterwards, and we're going to suffer for that.
Donald Trump.
It does. I do think it's funny how people want leaders to, at the same time, show a backbone and also to do what's popular.
I don't want him to do what's popular. I don't think him joining the war was popular. I wanted him to do what's popular.
You wanted him to do that, though, didn't you?
And do the right thing for
Alex, you wanted him to join the war.
Saying we will stop these vessels.
That's not popular.
We will seize these vessels, and then saying, oh, sorry, we can't do that because of international law, and just allowing a Russian warship and this shadow fleet to go through the English Channel. I mean, it's pure weakness.
It really is.
It's
just
dangerous
the
and
Russians are trying to provoke us. We need to choose our battles.
It's not about being the
We're going to have to leave it there, guys.
being the 2020s.
We're going to have to move on. Thank you. Thank you both for your contribution this morning.